Hey, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. This time, I want to do like a mini kind of like leader review of everything that's coming out in Set 5. We have a lot of new leaders coming out in Set 5, and we didn't do the normal card review by color as they were getting leaked because we got like so many spoilers like so often, and they were kind of leaking different colors with different colors. So I feel like it kind of just made sense to go over the top leaders in the game, because with like what you guys understand to be the top leaders coming out of Set 5, you kind of have to take into account what cards are coming out with those leaders. So I'll briefly mention a couple of things that are happening with that. Before we do get into this video, if you guys love Dragon Ball Super content, if you guys love awesome DBS stuff, definitely consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It would really mean the world to me. It helps us out a lot to bring you guys more awesome Dragon Ball Super content. And another little quick note, I'm going to try to avoid this as much as physically possible, but school is catching up and kicking me in the butt. So if we are a little slow this next like week or 2 weeks, I want you guys to know that's why. So I'm getting a little bit kicked in the butt by school. So if we do start to produce a few less videos a week, that's going to be why, and then we'll pick back up as soon as I get back on top of my stuff. So thank you guys so much for your continued support of the channel. You guys are the freaking best. Alright, so with that being out of the way, let's get right into this leader review. So we have Yamcha coming out. A lot of people are really excited that we're getting a Yamcha leader. I'm one of those people because I think Yamcha's a pretty cool character, but he's also getting a dope effect. So Auto Burst 2, we have a slew of these Burst 2 leaders, I believe, for every color. So when he attacks, note that they don't have to attack leaders with these Burst 2 effects, which is pretty solid. So when this card attacks, middle of the top 2 cards of your deck, draw 1 card. Awakens at 4 life, flips over and untaps 2 energy. On the backside, Yamcha the Hungry Wolf. This card art is so sick. I'm going to build some type of deck for this leader just because the card art is so amazing, but I'm sure a lot of people will be really interested to see what the build is. So Auto Sparking 5, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. This card gains critical for duration of the turn. So with these Sparking 5 leaders on the backside, they get some pretty solid effects. So like for example, this one just has base critical on the backside when you have 5 in your graveyard, which is really solid. It begs into the question like if you can even play Overwhelms in these decks, and it's kind of a tough question. Maybe you can play early Overwhelms since you're bursting 2 every time. Maybe you can play like something like Time Patrol Trunks or the Supreme Kai of Time that scries top 3, and maybe you can get away with that. And by the time you're awakened, you'll have your Sparking 5 to go off. Or maybe you can't really play Overwhelms, or maybe you can only play one Overwhelm that's like really game ending, like Scientist Fu or Fu Shrouded in Mystery or the Demigrass Secret Rare. Maybe it's a combination of those types of things, but it's something that's still, I know, being put around with some of the best deck builders in the game. So keep that in mind. Be very cautious with how you overwhelm these leaders. But his activate main says, choose 1 red battle card in your battle area. The chosen battle card can attack battle cards in active mode for duration of the turn. This is super dope. I feel like Yamcha is going to be the leader that just is like anti-barrier, because you already have the 4-drop Jiren that can attack active battle modes. You have the 3-drop Vegeta that can attack active battle modes. You have the 3-drop Gohan that can attack active battle modes and burn your opponent for 1 energy, for 1 life. Sorry. And this card just gives any of your red battle cards the ability to do that. I really like Yamcha's role in that sense. I feel like he's just going to be the anti-barrier leader / deck. So if we ever see like a giant barrier kind of phenomenon in the game, like let's say Chain Zeddo gets answered and then we see some just need for answers to barrier, this leader can actually do it, which is really cool. This leader in this deck will definitely have a lot of ways to respond to barrier, so I'm a really big fan of that leader. Then we have the first Wish leader, Red Pilaf. So Auto, once per turn, when one of your battle card attacks, it gains 5k power for duration of the turn. Then choose 1 Dragon Ball from your deck or life add to your hand, then shuffle any areas you look through. So this is really cool because you just swing with any battle card and you have the ability to go search a Dragon Ball from your life or deck, which I really like how you can look through your life and see what's in there. A lot of times this is really relevant when I was playing Hercule at the most recent regionals in Atlantic City. I really wish I could look through my life and see where my Demigrass SCR was at. But this is really cool because you can play things like 1-drop Kaba, 1-drop Trunks, swing. They get a power boost. You get a life to hand, so you get to just draw cards. And in the Wish leaders, Awakening isn't a thing. So you're not particularly concerned about how much life you have. Obviously, you don't want to go too far below 4, just because that starts to put you in really sketchy waters. But you just get so many draws off these Wish leaders. These Wish leaders get you a lot of pluses. So once you do that, and you have 7 Dragon Balls in your drop area, you can choose 1 Desire card in your drop area. Really important because you want to use a Desire usually before you wish, so that you can get that Desire back to your hand, and then you can flip this card over. So on the backside, he becomes Oolong, which is just so funny. Like they're so great with the like card design in this game in terms of like the flavor and like just giving us really unique characters on cards. Oolong as a leader is so funny. But activate main, once per turn, choose 1 effect. You can draw 1 card just like any other leader on their Awakened side. So what's really cool is that you can draw cards passively, which without giving your opponent cards is really nice. Choose 1 red one red or black desire card in your hand with energy costs less than or equal to your current energy and activate it. Activate its activate main skill. Just so you guys know, they did end up ruling this that you do have to send that desire card you choose to activate with this effect to the drop area. Just so you guys know, it's a very, very important thing to know. Remove 7 Dragon Ball cards in your drop area from the game. So this is basically like every Witch Leader has this effect. It's like remove 7 Dragon Balls, and at the end of it, you're going to flip back over to get some really big effect. And notice this is removing them from the game, not warping them. So it's kind of a different area, almost like that 7-drop cooler that kind of just says remove cards from the game, throw it out of the window, like just get it off the table. So if you do remove 7 Dragon Balls from the game, draw 3 cards, choose one of your battle cards, and it gains 15k power for duration of the turn. Then flip this card over at the end of the turn. So drawing 3 is pretty solid, and giving one of your guys 15k is pretty solid. But this is the kind of thing where whatever play you make right here kind of just loses to a negate. So you know, you give your big triple striker a plus 15k, which is really good, but if your opponent even has 1 energy showing, it's kind of risky because all they have to do is just negate it, and your big power plays got turned off, and your leader turns back over, meaning he's much easier to kill going forward for your opponent the rest of the game. And you don't really get any effects off of him. You can't search any more Dragon Balls, so you're not going to be able to get any more pluses off your leader. I think this is one of the more mediocre Witch Leaders. So yeah, that's what I'll say with that. The draw 3 is nice, but the 15k power just doesn't really do enough to warrant potentially losing all your pluses for the rest of the game, unless your opponent's tapped out. So we have the Son Gohan leader. I just love how fresh he looks, just like looking up at the Dragon Balls with his sunglasses. I think it's hilarious. So another Witch Leader, the Blue Witch Leader. When this card attacks, it gains 5k power for duration of the turn. So it's a base 15k swing, which is pretty solid. It's just a good way to force damage through. It's really hard for your opponent to combo out of if they're not trying to take early damage. Then choose up to 1 Dragon Ball from your deck or life, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, or life if you look through it. So 7 Dragon Balls, get 1 desire card in your drop area. So when there's 7 Dragon Ball cards in your drop area, choose 1 desire card in your drop area, add it to your hand, flip this card over. So we have the Righteous Heart Son Gohan. Activate main, choose 1. You draw 1 card. You can choose 1 black or blue desire card in your hand with an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and activate its activate main skill. And you can remove 7 Dragon Balls. And in my opinion, this is a pretty powerful effect. So choose 3 energy, switch them to active mode. This card gains 15k power and critical for duration of the turn. So really insane combos you can do. Like, I know this card is absolutely crazy pressure. It's a lot different than the Oolong play because for 1, it gives itself the 15k and critical. For 2, blue has the wish card Call of Justice, which allows you to restand this card, and if you can resolve multiple in a turn, this card will just get massive pressuring swings. And there's a Shenron card that's going to give this guy triple strike when you play it. So you have some really nutty plays there in terms of you can just restand your leader many times throughout a turn, especially with the restanding of 3 energy. That gives you access to several Call of Justices in 1 turn. So really good leader. Definitely something to look forward to going forward. Then we have the first Janemba leader, the one that's coming out in the core set. So this is another burst 2 leader. Attack anything, mill 2, draw 1 card. Life's at 4 or less, untap 2 energy and flip it over to become the Supreme Evil Janemba. So auto, sparking 5. This skill takes effect when you have 5 or more cards in your drop area. When this card attacks, draw 1 card and it gains 5k power critical for duration of the turn. So a little bit boosted on Yamcha in terms of it gets an additional 5k on top of critical for the duration of the turn when you have 5 in the drop. So same discussion applies to this, debating whether or not playing Overwhelms is worth it. And activate main, choose 1 card in your hand, place it in the drop area. During this turn, when your opponent activates counterplay, they choose 3 cards from the hand and place them in the drop area. So really interesting about this is that Crusher Ball is becoming really prevalent right now, really good card right now, and this card kind of punishes that. So that's one thing to look forward to. If the yellow Witch Leader comes into more of a spotlight in the meta, then this will be a lot more prevalent as well. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But this card really punishes counterplay strategies, which is kind of interesting. And even if it didn't do that, I think just the 5k critical is very powerful. So it just seems like a relatively good aggro leader in that sense. So I like this leader a little bit, but I would put it somewhere in the middle of leaders to look out for coming into set 5. I wouldn't put it at the top necessarily. Funnily enough, we have another peel-off on a Awakened side of a Witch Leader. So this is the green Witch Leader. Let's see what he does. Auto, once per turn. When one of your battle cards attacks, it gets 5k power for relation to the battle. Then choose 1 Dragon Ball from your life or deck, add it to your hand. So it's relatively the same to the other peel-off where your battle card has to attack in order to get you your Dragon Balls. And then when there's 7 Dragon Balls in your drop area, choose 1 desire in your drop area, add it to your hand, flip this card over. Then he becomes the Tiny Warrior Son Goku. So I just love this card art again. The red Shenron looks sick. The Kid Goku looks awesome. Let's see what he does. Activate main, choose one. Once per turn, draw one card. Get one green or black desire card from your hand with energy cost less than or equal to its current energy, and use activate main skill. Then you can remove 7 Dragon Balls from your drop area. If you do, choose also one card each from your opponent's hand and battle cards and place them in the owner's drop area, and this card gets 15k power for duration of the turn. So again, this is another somewhat mediocre effect. You get to give yourself a 15k power boost for the turn. You get to rip one card out of your opponent's hand and one of the battle cards sent to the graveyard, but for spot removal, this is a very overcosted in my opinion, just to have to flip yourself back over and again lose all the pluses that your leader could potentially offer you. I don't think it's very worth it. So again, this is going to be on the bottom tier of the leaders to look out for coming out of set 5. Now we have the Super 17. I know a lot of people are super duper looking forward to this guy. So let's see what he does. So he's the green leader, green burst 2 leader coming out of the set. So attack, draw one card after you mill 2, and at 4 life he'll flip 2 energy over and awaken. Become the Super 17 Evil Entwined. This guy looks sick. Let's see what he does. Sparking 5. When this card attacks, draw one card, and it gains critical for duration of the turn. So all these leaders have critical so far. I don't remember if the Roshi does, but we'll see that in just a bit. So that's kind of interesting, just base critical. Activate main if your opponent has 10 or more cards in hand. Your opponent places cards from their hand in the drop area until they have 9 cards in hand. So that seems like somewhat of a mediocre effect, but if you've played against things like Hercule, if you played against things like Mecha Frieza in the past, if you played against things like SS3, where it's very typical for them to have like 10, 11, 12, even up to 15 cards in hand, this leader just really balances back out the playing field, because androids don't typically plus a lot on their own, but they are really good at hand control. So the fact that this can keep your opponent's hand just somewhat in a very manageable area, and if you don't decide to play Cell Chain, you can play the Super 17 chain and just keep ripping like 4 cards out of their hand every turn. So you take them from 9, you take them down to 9 with leader effect, then you take them down to 5 with your Android 17 effect. So something to look out for. I'm going to put this in the middle of the set 5 leaders to look out for. Master Roshi, this guy looks so awesome. So he is the burst 2 leader for yellow. When he attacks, draw one card. When your life's at 4 or less, you may choose up to 2 of your energy, switch from active mode, flip it over. So Sparking 5, this guy does not have a whole lot of text. Let's see what he does. This skill takes effect when you have 5 more cards in your drop area. When this card attacks, draw one card, and he gains a 5k boost for duration of the turn. So it's a base 20k swinger, which is pretty solid. Then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, switches to rest mode. So it's an interesting leader. It doesn't have the base critical, which is kind of unfortunate, but the fact that it can rest opponent's battle cards and not having to be restricted by a certain energy cost is cool, but I don't think it's going to be like very ultimately meta impacting. I'm going to put this leader at the bottom of the leaders to look out for in set 5. I don't think it's going to be one of the most impactful ones, but I think it is a really cool leader to have, especially just to drop things into rest mode on command. Now we have Sorbet. It's so hilarious they messed that one up, but Sorbet, he is the unwished, I guess, side of the yellow wish leader. So what he does is, once per turn, when one of your battle card attacks, it gains 5k power for duration of the turn. Then choose one Dragon Ball from your life or deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle any areas you look through. Then when you have 7 Dragon Balls, you can flip this card over and get 1 desire back from your graveyard. Let's do the flip side. So on the back side, he becomes this awesome looking Golden Frieza with Shenron in the back. So activate main, choose one. You get to draw one card. You can activate 1 yellow or black desire card from your hand with energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and activate its activate main skill. And let's see, it's remove 7 Dragon Ball effect. So you can remove 7 Dragon Balls in your, from the game. Choose a total of 2 of your opponent's battle cards and energy, switch into rest mode, and this card gets 15k power for duration of the turn. Then flip this card over. So that effect is good. I wouldn't say it's the best to remove 7 Dragon Balls from the graveyard to get its effect, but I am a huge fan of it because of the ability to tap down your opponent's energy. So like if they're at 2 life, for example, you activate the 7 Dragon Ball effect, you get your Dragon Balls out of there, you tap down your opponent's energy. If you tap them out, this card plus a double strike card, whether it's Champa or East Kai, can almost be guaranteed game, because if your opponent doesn't have energy to negate or combo out of that swing, you're just those 2 cards alone, you're a base 40k double strike, and then whatever other combos you have. So that's really solid. And then you have to take into account that this card can play Cold Bloodlust, which is one of the best cards in the entire game, where you're just negating effects. Not many cards in this game have access to negating effects. And you have to take into account the wish cards this card can play, which are really, really amazing. So you have like the 2-drop that are Born's 4-drop Friezas. and you have the 1-drop that I believe untaps an energy and draws a card. So you have really good wish cards in this deck, and you have access to Cold Bloodlust. So this is definitely one of the top leaders to look out for coming out of set 5 for sure. And then we have the Black Mass Sand. I feel like out of all the leaders in the set that like no one's really talking about this one, but I think it's pretty interesting. So let's see what it does. Auto Burst 3. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. Awaken. When you place a 4 or less, untap 2 energy and flip this card over. So activate main once per turn. Burst 3. So another mill 3 effect. Choose 1 black battle card with an energy cost of 3 or more in your drop area. Add it to your hand. This card gains 5k power for duration of the turn. So pretty cool how he's not just like a swing draw leader. He allows you to get back different black cards that are in your graveyard, which is cool. But again, it's like this leader kind of promotes overwhelm really well, but then like if you overwhelm more, you don't really get the most benefit out of his backside, which is just getting a black card out of your drop area. But I guess you can just get the black card out of your drop area before you overwhelm, so there's that aspect to it. It's interesting. I think it's a bit of a mediocre leader. I'm going to put this more towards the bottom of leaders to look out for in the new set. Next up, we have a leader that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, myself included. We have the Shenron leader himself. So on the unwish side, he is the just Dragon Balls. So permanent, this card cannot attack, which is kind of weird. You can't put pressure with your leader every turn, but the effect, I think he has a very strong effect to make up for that. So activate main, switch this card to rest mode, choose up to 2 Dragon Ball cards from your deck or life, add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck or any area you look through. So this is just a straight up +2 on activate main, which is really solid. Pretty interesting they didn't make a once per turn clause here, because if there ever becomes a way to restand your leader, you'll be able to just get 4 Dragon Balls in 1 turn, which could be kind of busted. But for some reason they didn't decide to do that. So wish, when there are 7 Dragon Balls in the drop area, choose 1 desired card in your drop area, add it to your hand, flip this card over. He becomes this awesome looking Shenron leader. So another permanent, he cannot attack, I guess, because Shenron doesn't directly impact anything in the world. He just kind of grants wishes and does things like that. So you can choose 1, you can draw 1 card, you can activate any desired card in your hand with energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and activate the activate main skill. So what's really cool is you can use off color wish cards for that. And his remove 7 Dragon Ball effect, he allows you to choose 1 battle card and it gains 10k power and triple strike for duration of the turn. So this is one of the remove 7 Dragon Ball effects that I think is very worth it, because even if your opponent does have several energy up, the fact that you're giving something a 10k boost and triple attack means it can means that card alone can burn through 3 negates on its own. So your opponent has to have like 3 Weakness Coercions in their hand, or some like crazy amount of energy up and several negates in order to not die to whatever you're swinging with, assuming they can't combo out of it, because at that point they're going to be burning through a lot of resources. So this is going to be, in my opinion, one of the upper echelon leaders to look out for coming out of the set for sure. And then we have the promo leaders that are coming out very soon. So these are also something to look out for. We don't have these yet, and they're going to technically be in the set 5 block. I do believe they do have the wish tag on them, so let's see what they do. So this is the Goku and Vegeta that flips over to a Gogeta that's coming out with the movie promos. So what it does is permanent, you cannot include energy cost cards of 6 or more in your deck. This is a weird permanent in my opinion. I don't know what they're trying to necessarily prevent, and it kind of is weird that you can't play your 7-drop Gogeta in this deck, but they did that for whatever reason. So let's see what the rest of it does. This card attacks a leader card. You may choose 1 card in your life, add it to your hand. If you do so, draw 1 card. So it's got that like Krillin-esque effect. Awaken, when your life's at 4 or less, draw 1 card, choose 1 energy and flip it over. Kind of cool. I like how it's a mixture of both awakening effects because of fusion happening right here. That's kind of flavorful. Good job, Bandai. Miracle Strike Gogeta. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. Activate main once per turn. Choose 1 card in your life, place it in the drop area, so you have to crit yourself. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier. That's usually a very good tagline to have going into the effect. Negate their skills for duration of the turn. This card gains 5k power for duration of the turn. So this is basically an entire board-wide negation for your opponent's field. And for the rest of the turn, you can only play battle cards by Union Fusion. So definitely a big restriction, but you can definitely go into a turn just like playing all your things first, like summoning, getting ready for your final swings, and then using Gogeta to negate your opponent's entire board. So what's really cool is you can negate like blockers, you can negate barrier, and it gets really insane. If your opponent ever has some type of floodgatey effect on you, something that's preventing you from doing things, like maybe the 7-drop Frieza that makes you mill every single time you need to activate an effect, makes you mill a life, this card's really, really good to stop that. So really big fan of this leader, and because it's blue, of course, it has access to a slew of other things like untapping Trunks, like Dimension Magic. To be honest with you guys, I think this leader is going to be something to look out for coming out of set 5. Definitely go see this movie if you have the opportunity to get your promos. I'm going to put this in like the upper middle class of leaders to look out for coming out of set 5. And finally, we have another promo leader, a second Janemba leader. I'm so stoked they made Janemba into a leader. It's even cool that they made it into 2 different leaders. Now we just need that PyCon leader, guys. Band, I hope you're listening. So the Janemba leader coming out of the Series 5 Dash Pack. So permanent, you cannot include cards with energy costs of 5 or more in your deck. Again, pretty weird that you cannot use the bigger Janemba cards in this deck, but you know, I digress. When this card attacks, draw 1 card, does not have to attack a leader, and does not have to burst 2, and place top 2 cards from your opponent's deck in the drop area. So this is a leader based on milling out your opponent. When you're placed at 4 or less, choose up to 2 of your energy, switch from active mode, flip this card over. When this card attacks, draw 1 card, place top 2 cards of your opponent's deck in their drop area. When this card is attacked, you may place 1 blue card from your in the drop area. If you do so, negate the attack and negate the skill for duration of the game. So you get basically 1 opportunity to turn any card in your hand into a Whis' Coercion, which is really, really solid. And when this card attacks, you draw 1 card and mill your opponent by 2. So really, this card is going to be on the upper tier of leaders to look out for coming out of set 5. This leader is going to be very, very good for a few reasons. A lot of these decks that we've seen in the past that just draw out their deck insanely, like we've seen Mecha Frieza in the past, we've seen Hercule in the past do this. They just draw 110% insert numbers of cards, and this leader really punishes them for that. So you start your game off after you draw your 6 and you put your 8 life out, you start your deck with 36 cards. This leader subtracts 2 of those cards from your deck every single turn, and if you're going to turbo through your deck and just draw an insane amount of cards, this leader is going to cause you to deck out. So many times when I was at the Atlantic City Regional, I was playing Hercule and I was afraid I was going to deck out. I won a crazy number of games with just 1, 2, or like 3, 4, 5 cards left in my deck. And if I was playing against this leader, I would have decked out 3 or 4 turns before that point. So this is going to be one of the better leaders, definitely coming out of set 5. Something to look out for, something to pick up, something to be mindful of if you're going to play a deck that just gets a crazy hand size. Interesting fact though, this leader actually can help out certain burst decks and certain sparking decks. Just something to look out for. Kind of interesting that if you go up against certain matchup with this deck, you're going to have a hard time against some sparking effects that require large amounts of cards in your opponent's graveyard. Just something to look out for. But at the same time, when those decks are milling themselves, you're helping them mill and you're helping them get closer to deck out. So we'll have to see how that plays out in terms of how dangerous that can be for these mill decks. But guys, with that being said, that is the top leaders to look out coming out of set 5. Top leaders to look out for. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, once again, please do consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. It would really mean the world to me. I'm going to put the link down in the description below for our community Discord. We talk about everything Dragon Ball Super related there. Definitely check that out if you're looking for a community to get like advice on your decks from, advice in the game from, things like that. With that being said, my name is Joey. This is CrossFit TCG, and I'll see you next time.